Hello guys, my name is Khan, and actually in this video I will show you guys how you can export data from Stata. So actually I have this auto data which is in the .dta format. So I am loading this data in Stata as it's the .dta data. So I just need to simply click this data file and the Stata will open it. So we have this data set which have 12 variables and 74 observations. So before going to tell you guys how you can export data sets from Stata, I will first tell you guys about different kind of labels in Stata we used to have. So the first common kind of label is the variable label. So suppose these are our variable names. So but we can also label them in order to build our understanding, so what that variable is capturing. Because as I told you guys before, that in Stata when you're writing the variable names, you can't add spaces. So you can't write variable names as make and model without space. So that's why we usually ended up making labels so that we can easily understand them. And now other than variable labels, we also have value labels. I will show you guys what are value labels. So if I say browse, so first I will go to, because you guys will be noticing that I am not writing browse completely. I'm just writing browse br, and when I'm entering it, it browse the data. So before going to browse, I think it's also an important thing that I will show you guys, that so suppose if I write help br, so you can see that here we have there is a help command, and here you can see that Stata is saying that if you want to browse, you have to write browse and then var list. But here is an important thing to notice, is that there is an underline line here, which shows that you don't need to write the whole word browse. You just need to write br, and then just you can add variable name or keep it blank. Blank means if you're not specifying any variable name, it means that you want to view all the variables in your data. So this is an important thing, because br and the whole word browse will do the same thing. So this is a quick thing that I thought that it's better to tell you guys at this stage. And then now if we are browsing the data, and you go to the data, and you can see if I go to the foreign is labeled as domestic. But if you go to this side, so you can see it's 0. So it means the value is the 0, and it's an integer variable. And as you can also see it here, the data type is numeric, but it's shown as a string, but it's a label over an integer. And same if I go to foreign, it's 1. So and it's actually 1 is labeled as foreign. So these things I am telling because because when we will exporting the data, Stata will be asking us that do you want to export variable label names, or you want to export it as data labels. So I think that's why I thought it's better to tell you guys first about these things. So now suppose if I want to export the data in an Excel. So before exporting the data, I would like to build, because it's a good habit to build a do file for whatever you are doing. So that if you want to repeat the things, you don't have to do those steps again. So suppose I am making a new do file. So as I said you guys before, it's better to comment in your do file so that it will be easy to understand. Exporting data sets. And now if I go back, as you can see, I opened this data set. So instead of going to that folder again and clicking it again, I just copy this command from here and pasting it. And it's better to write clear here too. so that whenever you run this command, it will clear all the previous dataset and then upload this dataset, the auto.dta. And as I told you guys in my previous video too, when I was discussing data import, that it's always better to make a working directory, which you can make by cd. I have already talked about working directories in my previous video about data import. So if you have any confusion, you can go back and watch that video again. So I will Control X and I will paste it here. So I'm making this folder path as my working directory. So whatever data I will export or import will be from this folder and will go to that folder. So I'm writing this again and I'm saving it. So I'm working on Stata videos folder. So I'm working on data export folders. So it's better to make it as a working directory because the auto data. So naming it as export. Save. So my two files saved. Now what I will do is suppose, because this is the data you uploaded, and suppose you have done some computation and you have added new variable. So suppose this data is the base data set which you uploaded, and suppose you have done some operations on it. Suppose you have created a variable. So in order to create a variable, suppose in Stata there is a command named generate. So I will say help gen. If I say go to, so you can see that there is a command to make new variables. So which is, you can write down whole generate, or you can just write as gn or g, so simply g, and then with new variable name and then what that variable name should be capturing. So so suppose I want to make gen log price. I've just to make some variable computation. So I'm saying ln price. So I'm creating a natural log of price and I'm capturing it into this variable. And if I go to browse, so I can show you that there is a new variable now in the dataset. So what this log price is doing is, what actually the behind is that this it's taking this price and taking the log of this price and then pasting it here. Again, coming here and making the log of this price and pasting the value here. So I'm just copying this command and I'm going back and I'm pasting it here. So suppose this is one form of computation that you have done over this data set, and now you want to save this updated data set. I will always recommend never to save suppose you are working on the .dtf file. If you want to save in the .dtf file, it's always recommended not to save with the same file name. Give it a different file name so that it will be easier. Otherwise, Stata may give you an error because you may do some computation which update the data. And once you will rerun this command, it may give you an error. That's why it's always recommended to give a new name. So suppose if I want to save this dataset with a new additional variable, if you have to save it, or save means that you are exporting into a .dtf format, the easier way is just write save. I'm just giving a file name this, and I'm saying .updated. So I'm just giving it a file name and I'm pressing comma. After that, I'm saying if the dataset is already placed, replace it. I will show you guys. So suppose now if I run this Control All and Control A and then Control D, Stata is saying that they have saved this file and I will show you guys where it's saved this file. Here in the folder it's saved now. This is my do file, this is my .dtf file, which is having an extra variable, which is this variable that I have created. So now I will show you guys that what's about if I don't write replace here. So suppose if I don't write replace, and if I control A all, I've selected the whole script and then control D, Stata will have given me an error that auto updated already exists in that folder. So replace means that if the file is already located there, just replace it. So this is the one of the way you can export data from Stata in a .dtf format. What's about if you want to export data in Excel? So what you will do, you just simply need to go to this file button. So if you go to file, and as we are exporting the data and I want to export the data into an Excel format, I will come here, I will select this folder, and now it's an important thing to understand what's going on here. So if you want to that all the data set, all the variables of your data set should be exported to Excel, then there is no need to write anything or select. Suppose, but if you want to export selective variables, you can select multiple variables from here which you want to export. But at this stage, I want all the variables to be exported. Secondly, where I want to export that Excel dataset. So suppose I want to export in data export folder, and I will write down auto Excel data, auto updated, and I want it to in 9. You can select this version, but I usually require like XLS format, which is because this is the latest version of Excel files, so I will save it in that. Now an important thing to note down here is that I don't want to give any worksheet. It will be by default. You can give a worksheet name, but by default it will be sheet 1. And I want you want to you can opt this option that allow worksheet to be modified if it already exists. The better way is to use this option, replace worksheet if already exists. And the second thing is that do you want to save the variable name in the first row in Excel, or you want to save variable labels to first row in Excel. So if you select variable labels to first row in Excel, it will show these labels in the first row. But I will recommend to use variable names in first row in Excel file. One of the reason is that suppose in future you import this data sets back into Stata, and suppose you have already made some script which will be on these names, will not be on this label. So and then you don't need to update it, so you can simply use the same data set again based on those names. So that's why I will recommend to use save variable names in the first row of Excel file. And then another thing is that you want to export numeric values or the value labels. Suppose if I opt this as a output numeric values, then if you remember that our foreign variable have value labels, then the data which will be exported from Stata will be in 0 or 1, will not be labeled as domestic and foreign. So I want it to be labeled, so it will be shown, it must have been shown to me in domestic and foreign, so that it will be easy to understand that thing in Excel. And I don't want to overwrite, because if I select this thing will go away, because I am overwriting the whole Excel file. So that's why I'm just want to say replace the worksheet if it already exists. If I set submit, so now we have this command. If I select Control A, Control X, and then if I go to here, I can Control V. And as I already using a working directory, so there is no need to use this folder path. So I'm just deleting it. I'm saving it into, so as you can see that in line 10 I'm exporting the data into .dta, and now I'm exporting the data into in Excel format. An important thing is that now if I go to my folder where I'm exporting the data, you can see a new file here have created by Stata. So if I just open it, I will show you guys how it looks like, how data looks like here. So now this is the data which is exported into Excel. As you can see, we have log price. An important thing is that now you can see here we have domestic, and because I exported labels, not numeric values. If I have selected numeric values, then I must have seen 0 or 1 here. So this is a brief overview of the data we have in Excel now. So I'm closing it. Don't save. So I'm closing it, and now I'm going back to show you guys. So now suppose if I want to export data in a CSV format, the comma separated value format. So what I have to do, again, I will go to my file, and then I will go to my export, and then I want to use CSV, want to export in the CSV format. I will select that, and then I will show you guys that actually I want to, again the same thing, I will not go into detail, and now I want to save it as auto CSV. Save. And I want it into a comma separated format. You can also select as tab delimited format or use a specific delimiter, but I will select this comma. And again, don't write variable name on the first line. I want the variable name in the first line, so I will not opt this out. Output numeric values of labeled variables. So suppose now if I show you guys, suppose if I opt this value for CSV file, I will show you guys how it get different. So as you remember that we have foreign variable which have value labels. I don't want to opt this, and these two options are not I think much get into use, so I will just submit it. So now I have this command have got run. Now I will go to page up. I will select my command that I have just run through here, Control X. I will go to my do file. I will paste it here, and again even if you run this way, there will be no error. Suppose previously I have deleted this path here for the above when I was exporting for Excel. Even suppose now if I show you guys that if I run the Control All and Control A and Control D, even then you will not get any error. Stata will execute the whole do file without any error. But I am doing this thing because it's a when you're coding, it's better to keep your code more readable, easy to readable, and it also seems clean. Why to keeps on writing the file path again and again. So now if I remove the file path, even now if I run Control A and then Control D, I will not have any error. And now I will go to my folder where I've exported this CSV file, and I will show you guys how it is different from Excel. So this is my CSV file. I will open it, and now as you can see, the main, especially there are two differences. Because this is shown in an Excel format, but actually it's a .csv file, comma separated file. And now if I come to here, this variable, as if you guys remember that I have selected an option of no label. So there is, now it's not written as domestic or foreign. Now it is shown as its actual numeric value, which is 0 or 1 for foreign. So this is one of the difference from the previous exports. So I'm just closing it. I'm going back to here. So in this video I have shown you guys how you can export the data sets from Stata in three ways. One, that you export the data sets in a .dtf format, then I have exported into XLS format, then I have exported into a CSV format. There are many other options also available in Stata to export in different formats. But most of the time, I think as a user, especially in the beginning, you ended up using these three formats most of the time. And I also have told you guys that how you can generate a new variable this is one of the example how you can generate a new variable in Stata.